Here we go. Okay, so hi, I'm Dawn-Louise Kerr from SM2 Communicate. And my good friend is
Celia Delaney, and I run a brand called Celia Delaney, just so that I can remember it really easily. I'm an MC and a comedian. That's how most people know me. I host award ceremonies, but I've been a speaking coach for the past 10 years under a brand called Speaking Success, and that's why Dawn thought I should hop on this call. She's going to do the more tech side because she is Ms. Digital. Hashtag digital fun. So she's going to do the tech side of Zoom, and I'm going to do the sort of speaking, presenting side of Zoom. So we thought that'd be a good combo to while away an hour with you all tonight.
Absolutely. And we recommend that if you are going to do a Zoom call, it's always beneficial to have two of you on the call. So when the person who's speaking is addressing the audience, the other person can be in the chat talking to you all and answering any questions. So this webinar is designed to be very interactive, and we will be setting you challenges along the way as we go. It is being recorded, as I've said, so welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm going to be sharing screens, but the first thing to get you to do is to have a look at your view. How are you viewing the Zoom on your screen? So there is a difference between speaker view and gallery view. So I'm going to share some slides with you now. Celia, let me know if we can see my whole screen.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think we can see your desktop as well.
That's okay. I've got nothing on there that's going to be any worried. So these were our introductions. So, oh, actually, before we go into the different views, have you seen this? It's going to be a light-hearted, this one as well. Have you seen this diagram going around the internet at the minute? So to be aware of what's kind of behind you and around you when people are checking you out. We've got some funny videos as well that are going around. But as you can see, the actual meeting content is 2% of the attention span from somebody. Everybody's kind of removing kids, or the cat walks across the keyboard, or, you know, you're basically checking out where that person is and how their lifestyle is. We'll talk about Celia's backdrop in a minute for you. Yeah.
Heavenly.
So speaker view and gallery view, this is where we want you to have a look. So if by me sharing my screen as the host, you can press escape on your keypad now, and that will make my shared screen smaller, and it will allow you to change your view from gallery view to speaker view. So I'd like you to have a little go on that. The speaker view or the gallery view is up in the top right of your screen. So if you're looking at us through a web browser, you go to the top right of the screen. A gallery view shows you across here, across the top, and I will be along the main panel here. Likewise, if you've got a speaker view, obviously you won't have our logos, you'll have different people behind there, but you can make your screen bigger to see everybody, so you can actually feel like you're part of a community online. So if you're running online networking events or anything like that, it's a great way to get your audience to interact like that.
Do you know what that reminds me of, Dawn? The when they're stacked up in the boxes like that. Is anyone old enough to remember blankety blank? That's what it was like. You're probably too young to remember. You're younger than me. But
what was that?
Blankety blank.
What? Oh, okay. So if you've all switched between them, come back to the main screen so you can see what I'm going to do. I'm now going to, you must have seen this, I'm going to show you a quick YouTube video. Can we see my YouTube screen now?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay, great. Hopefully you'll hear the sounds.
What's the sound?
Dave,
I can't.
your microphone, it's not on.
Click on the button with the picture of the microphone.
Every time a billing calls in, this happens.
Hello? Hello?
Well, now we can
So
hear you,
annoying.
but we cannot see you.
Every time.
That's like talking to my parents.
Where's the sound?
Okay, so just wanted to show you that. That is what we don't want to happen on your Zoom call. So we're going to help you with that today. So let's get you chatting. So this was a recent call that I was on with my fellow WIBN members. We'd like to just talk to you through a few functionalities of the screen that you're looking at. So if you're hosting it, you have a lot more functionality than if you are a participant. So on your screen, down at the bottom here, just here, you can mute or take yourself off mute. So at the minute, everybody is muted because I have been really mean and got you all to be quiet. But in here, if you select the button here, you can either, If you click on it, it will put a cross, and if you have a cross in it, it will mean you're unmuted. So you can all have a little play at clicking across there. And then if we move across to the video, next to it, again, you can switch your video on and off, and these are your different settings for that. Now you can choose a virtual background. So I'm going to stop sharing, and I'm going to let Celia talk to you about virtual backgrounds, which I can see that some of you already know how to do.
Oh my God. Yeah. So some of you know how to do it, but some of you don't. So in the video, stop video section, I don't think it's that logical myself for it to be there, but it is there. If you go to that menu, you can choose a virtual background. So let's all have a go at this now. Choose a virtual background, select one. This is my favorite that they give you. Boom. Check that puppy out.
You're ahead.
Now, this is an interesting thing. Why does it go wrong like this? Well, I've deliberately worn blue. I've worn a blue top so that you can see that basically it's using all of this blue to project onto. So all you're getting is my red hair. I love being quite robot-like. Look at that, like being an alien. It's great fun.
So like that man out of, what's that TV show that's just
like a red dwarf, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like a head. Oh, come on. We're really bringing the old TV back here, guys. I hope we've got the right age group for this.
Yeah.
So I don't use a virtual background because I use a physical screen. This is a screen that I got from Wayfair for 50 quid, guys. I'm not on commission. And I prefer a physical screen because it just looks really nice. I love the clouds and everything. You can tell it's a screen because of the slats. But because it's not a green screen, that's why it's not projecting. So any green material is the best for a virtual background. Some other materials might work. We've got a lovely one on a beach. I can see someone's sitting on a leaf. So some of them are working. For some of you, it won't be the right option unless you want to buy a green tablecloth and drape it, or a proper green screen. You know, then you'd be able to use it. But I like doing it like this, and I very amusingly can just sort of get out the side like this. There's my office. I can shield the dog, which is on that side. So yeah, that works for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So on the chat function, hopefully you've all found across the bottom of the screen where I was showing you before, your chat function. What we'd like you to do is just go now to everyone and just put hi, and we'll just see. Yep, there we go. Ooh. Anybody who hasn't found the chat function yet, unmute yourself and say moi. No, look at this. These I've already used Zoom lots. You can see, can't you? It's great.
Yeah, that's
okay.
Brilliant. Oh, I was going to say as well, I forgot to say, you can design a background in Canva as well, which is a free software for design, canva.com, if you want your own bespoke one, but you still have the same problem that it has to still show, be projected.
Yeah,
Sorry.
like if you drink water, it loses the glass of water because it's clear. And if I was to do my virtual background now, actually, it just picks up, because my pink blind behind me is so pink, it only does the pink blind, not the whole background.
That's really cool. I want that function.
You need a pink blind. So if you're wearing strong colours, or there's a strong colour behind you, then just to be aware of that.
Yeah. Okay,
so the reason we got you to use the chat function is we are going to get you to vote on your favourite blunder video that is going around the the internet at the minute. Yeah. You might have seen all of these. Hang on, let me get back to my slides. Oh, let me move you guys.
We called this what not to do on Zoom. So it is partly about the kind of classic mistakes that people make when they're on Zoom. So Dawn's gone around the internet and found 3 of the best that are doing the rounds. So Dawn, what do they need to vote on?
Okay, so we've got number 1. You've probably seen this. This is the one where the BBC News, it was on mainstream news. The woman runs in, drags the kids out, and the guy is trying to still hold an interview. Number 2 is where this is a recent Zoom call, and the lady decides it's a good idea to take her laptop with the video function still working into the toilet with her, and you can see her going to the toilet. Then the 3rd one, and this is my personal favourite, not that I want to sway the voting here, but this is a guy who's just got out of bed, realised that he needed to join a team call, and literally join straight into the call without even getting dressed. If you'd like to put in the chat function 1, 2 or 3, and we'll play you, whichever one gets the most votes, and Celia will tell us that in a minute. So please all vote. If we've got time at the end, we might play all of them for you because they're all keyed up, but they are all hilarious as well. As you can see, my screen is lots of things in the chat there.
I've been telling my husband about these.
Really?
Yeah, because he hasn't seen them.
I'm sure there'll be more as we go through this, right?
Oh, yeah, there's a long time to go of this, guys. There's still time for more tragedies.
Okay, so what gets the most votes?
Okay, so it's quite balanced. Some people want to see 2, 3 to 3. I'm not very good at like actual proper surveys, so it's more slightly more 3. 3 nudges it for this time round, and then if we've got time, we'll show the others.
All right. Well, they're quite quick, so why don't we do 3 and 2? There we go.
There we go.
So, can you all see my YouTube screen again?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is number 3. Look at the guy in the red circle here.
It's a bit
What?
dare I say, it's a bit small at first.
Yes.
So today's my Gonzaga day. That's how it's done. Let's make sure everybody has clothes. Come on, guys.
Wait, no, your video is on.
They're snapping.
Oh, okay. And then this is number 2, going to the toilet. So this is just, remember, if you move away from your desk, even to get a piece of paper from the printer or to go and grab yourself a coffee, switch off your video before you move away. Not only does it make the people who are watching the video a bit motion sickness, but also things like this can happen.
One of the only professions that say that we can never get involved with a former client ever.
This is Jennifer.
How long it's been versus like some other professions say a few years or whatever. I think it really depends on just like the ethical standards of the profession. And in reality, I've heard that social work kind of has very high standards and like good standards in terms of things, and that oftentimes people of other professions don't have. Yeah.
Hold on.
What happened?
I saw nothing.
Oh my God, Jennifer.
So as you can see, she decided that it was a good idea to take her laptop in and then realizes it when people say, oh, what's going on?
I love it how they're talking about ethical standards just beforehand.
I know, it's great. There's lots more out there as well. Okay, so just going back to the virtual backgrounds and talking about that, Celia mentioned that Canva gives you free, you can make some virtual background yourself, but there's also this from Shutterstock as well. So if you just went Shutterstock, discover virtual backgrounds free, there's a whole pack of them, and you can be anywhere in the world from the comfort of your home, really. Mm-hmm. It's all free. We like free things in this world. Mm-hmm. So yeah, take a note of that link or do it for free. Okay, so something that's not that well used as yet on Zoom, you don't see it being used that well, much yet, is raising your hand. So we have a screen of about 20 odd people, and right now if somebody was to ask me something, they'd have to come off mute and interrupt me. I can't likewise when you have big crowds, they go into the next page of my screen, so I can't physically see everybody. The only way that I can see you is if you raise your hand. So what I want you to do is there's a little participant button at the bottom of your screen. If you go on that, yeah, Sylvia, you found it. You basically go on the participants, the menu appears on the right hand side. And as you can see on my screen, everybody is now raising their hands. And then what happens is a little hand comes over your screen and I can see that you want to ask me a question. So thank you very much. And then if you want to just take your hand down, you then just click on it again and it takes it down. So thank you for the interaction there. It was great. As you can see, Celia tried it before in a nice little screenshot there as well.
I think we were just interested in, like, why can't I just physically raise my hand? Because someone had asked me that on a call I was on a call with other performers and comedians and cabaret people, and they were not at all into Zoom as it happened. And they were like, why can't I just raise my hand? I was like, well, you can raise your hand because there's only 4 of us on this call, so probably everyone can see everyone. But when there's 30 people, it depends on your screen size. If you're working just on a phone, you might only be able to see the speaker and not see anyone else visually, whereas the host is looking at that chat function with everybody's name on, then they can have a comprehensive overview of who wants to ask a question. So it's kind of about the size of the group, really, that one.
Yeah.
Can I
Yeah,
ask
it's
a
helpful.
question?
Yes, but good also raising your physical hand, like it.
Hi, my name is Sonia. I've just got a question quickly about that function.
Yeah.
When you've got a group of people who are raising their hands and you're monitoring it as the host, as the host, can you then take their hand down if they forget to?
Yes.
Okay. And then my next question was, can you only do that as a host?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So as a participant, you can raise your own virtual hand and take it down. But yes, as a host, I could remove your hand once I'd answered it. So when you're going through the questions and you've got a lot of people with their hands up, I just go from top to bottom and just lower the hand so I know that I've answered their questions, particularly when you've got multiple screens of people on there. Yeah.
And as they raise their hand, they go in order, don't they? So that you can be fair to people as they're queuing.
Not necessarily, no.
Oh, okay.
No. So
you've got to think of it as like working at a bar, Sonia, where people approach the bar all at the same time. You just got to use your judgment to be like, you're next, and you've got to be, strong leadership in these things.
Yeah.
When you're hosting, you just say, look, I'm in charge, I've got the power, I've decided. Also, if you know someone's a pain in the neck, you're like, no, I didn't see you, sorry.
Yeah, great.
Just me. Obviously, I'm the bad cop here. Dawn would never do that.
Good question.
Very
good question. So also as a host, what you'll notice is that I'm flicking between sharing my screens, sharing slides, sharing websites, and then when Celia is coming in, I'm making sure that as her co-host, I am coming off the share screen so that you guys get to see her rather than looking at my screen whilst this tiny window talks to you. So as a host, it's good to get into the habit of unsharing your screen and sharing them as well.
It's actually quite hard, like practicing all that driving of the buttons, I think is quite hard. So you were going to talk about, we struggled, didn't we, a bit with the presenting the slides. Like I said, I hadn't done it before. So just understanding that you have to put it on the SlideShare view and then share your screen, and then you can get the full picture. Is that right?
So when you share and you want to share to slides, you've got different options. So let me share my slides so you can see it. So, we're still here. Okay, so can you see my deck?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now you're going to go to...
So this is a screenshot of sharing my screen from an earlier webinar that we did. And basically you get different options. You can share your desktop, which shares everything. You can share, if you've got a PowerPoint open, you can share one tab, you can share a whiteboard, you can share various different things. The trick is when you're hosting is to make sure you have your PowerPoint open, not in slideshow mode, because what happens is that makes everybody's screen and you can't see if you've got any notes yourself. So what I've done with mine is I've just hidden the notes. Can you see that? I've just made it small so you guys can't see it, and the notes to all the slides are just down here at the bottom, and I've just moved them away and basically made this as big as I can, but within my screen I can navigate from here to my YouTube, and I can come back to you guys in the little button that's at the top of my screen as a host.
Yeah. So it's a bit of a compromise because it does look better if you're in the full PowerPoint presentation mode. And so you can still do that, but it does mean you as the host are looking at a full screen. We experimented with this and it means that you as the host can't see anything else. And it's really, you'd have to really know your stuff and just want to look at those slides only. So we decided to compromise and look at the PowerPoint as big as we could in this way.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I'm gonna... Okay, and just we also wanted to talk to you about how you talk to people on the camera as well. So, and if you go to your picture, there are 3 dots next to you, and you can turn off your self mode. And what that means, normally when you're talking to somebody in a face-to-face meeting, you don't ever see yourself back. So you often find people looking at yourself and checking yourself out, going, oh yeah, that's what I look like as I'm talking. But if you go to your picture, there'll be 3 buttons, 3 little dots in the top right, and you can turn off self mode. And that basically takes away your distractions of looking at yourself, and it means you're looking straight down the barrel to the green light, and you can talk to your audience, and that really gets them engaged.
Yeah. Shall I jump in there, Dawn, and do a bit on speaking? Are we
Go
ready?
for it. Yeah, why not?
We've got a few other advanced tips on Zoom, I think, you know, free versus paid and that sort of thing, but maybe we'll save that for the Q&A and see how people are feeling, because I think this group, some of them are quite advanced. So should we just get on with the speaking
Go
stuff?
for it. Yeah, go for
that. Cool. Yeah, so viewpoint, as Dawn was saying, is very important, partly kind of where you place the computer, isn't it? Because most of you are doing pretty well, but my dad drives me completely mad, because I'll show you, like, have anyone got older parents who you spend the entire call just kind of looking up their nose, or, you know, looking at a lot of ceiling, you know? Yeah, exactly. Like, and I'm like, Dad, you know, it's just, I can't, oh God, you know, it just doesn't understand. So let me see if I can demo. I can't even see myself. I turned off self view, so now I can't do my demos at all. But yeah, definitely where you have this camera makes a difference. So the idea is that you have it level with your eyes as much as possible, whether that means you raise your stool or you lower the laptop or put the laptop on some books, or get a tripod. I've got a whole load of tripods here that I even put a tripod on a desk, or sit down on my sofa with it. So do whatever you need to do. There's also a thinking about speaking on screen from my days back in TV when I was an actor, don't you know, that if you have a lot of space above your head, you sort of lack authority. And I think that's because you just look shorter. So the idea is to be really, you know, getting close to what would be the ceiling. For any of you that want to play about with that and come across as a bit more authoritative, that would be great. And then linked to that is eye contact. So if you do switch off the self view, you'll find it much easier to do what I'm doing now, which is just look into the camera at the green light on the top of my iMac. It's not bothering me to do that. It feels odd because I can't quite look at your faces as well, although I've got you along the top, so it's not awful. But it's kind of just like broadcast TV. You just have to take a leap of faith that you're doing it right and that people are still there and they are kind of attending. And I guess, you know, if you're not sure if they are, then you ask them a question like this. You go, Dawn, are you still there? Are you still attending? She says yes. So it really feels like, you know, it feels quite like you're in a vacuum when you're doing this, especially if you're really presenting and teaching like I'm doing for a few minutes now, because people aren't talking back. And if they are there, maybe they're nodding, but quite a few people on this call maybe have got their video off so they can come and go or eat their dinner or whatever. And also they don't feel the need to nod, actually, because Zoom is even more passive than a normal audience situation. You know, I'm a public speaker by background and stand on big stages. And even then people just kind of look at you like, this is nice. I can switch my brain off for a minute here and think about what's for lunch. But here you've got no sound even coming back. You know, I'm just sitting speaking as if I was in a studio. So be aware that that can be quite alienating for you as the speaker and quite off-putting. So think about how you're going to cope with that, partly just by being brave and like keeping going, but also, as you've seen Dawn and I doing, we've programmed in little touch points of interaction so that we make sure we're checking in and we're able to see, are people still there, and what are they up to. So I think viewpoint's really important. Eye contact's really important as well. What should we talk about? Distractions. Should we talk about distractions, Dawn? Tell me your trick of switching everything off, because I never do that. I'm really lazy. You tell me what you do.
So I always make sure that my Outlook is switched off, my WhatsApp, anything that is going to bleep at me whilst I'm talking to somebody that might take my eyes over here. I switch it all off because, as you can all imagine, I run a few different accounts for people. So it's constantly the notifications coming in. So I just turn it all off whilst I'm doing a Zoom, and I'm constantly then just focused on the meeting.
Yeah, so that's really good, I think. And also those things can be taking up bandwidth, and we're all really fighting over a small amount of Wi-Fi now in the world on our home working that was never probably set up for us to run so much business from, or so much Zoom going on up and down the street. So be aware of bandwidth as well, and get that ready. And we also talked about, I was going to say about training your family. So you have to make people in the household aware that you're wanting to do something quite intense for an hour, like I'm going to be recording this, I'm going to be teaching or broadcasting. You know, my dog is asleep on the sofa, trained. Yeah, my husband asleep on the sofa, trained. Yeah, you got to get this. This is all part of the strong leadership. You know, you got to say, this is important, this is my time, I get the office this time and I'm doing this thing. So again, you can have a much more easy time of it than that guy, which the third video that we didn't see, where his kids came in and it was quite a tense moment. Dawn, you were going to say about people putting their photo on their profile as well. Or should we show them what it's like when you switch off video? I'll switch off mine now and people can see what I've got. I've plumped for brand because I love my logo so much. What can people put there when they switch off video?
Yeah, so this, you can put anything. This is when you set up your Zoom account through the website, through the web application. You just upload your profile picture or a logo like you've done. And then when you switch off your camera, rather than having your name, your profile appears. So there's my beautiful picture for everybody to see, rather than some people still need to do this function because you can see their names. Also, if you wanted to change your name, again, as a participant, you can go on the right-hand side of the screen, go to your name on the list, and you can go under more, and you can rename yourself. You can rename yourself to whatever you would like to do, really. Yeah, you know,
Speaker McSpeaky face.
The bee's knees. There you go. So I can rename myself. That's what I'm now. So you can do that as well.
I've never done that. So you can just be here under an alias. Yeah, you can just be a total alias. I love that.
Yeah, you could be. But obviously Zoom is about bringing people together, right? So when you're setting up Zoom, there is a free version and a paid for version. Mm-hmm. The free version, and by the way, we're not affiliated to Zoom. We are just here sharing our information, sharing our knowledge so that you guys can pick up some tips and use it for your own benefits. So the free version with it, you can only use it for 40 minutes before it cuts you off. And then there are paid for versions, which allows you to go longer than 40 minutes, allows you to have multiple people, and there's different things that you can do with it. You can have breakout rooms. So if you are in a training environment, so for example, I've used this function. I lecture digital marketing at the University of Hertfordshire, and I use this with my students for my breakout points within the lecture. So I will deliver some slides to them, and then on the paid for version, I set up different breakout rooms, and I literally move my students into the breakout rooms. I then time how long they're going to be in there for. So I'll say to them before they go in, right, you're going to be in for 5 minutes. I want you to discuss this particular point of marketing. Any questions before you go in? No? Okay. And then I put them in. And then when you're in the chat rooms as a participant, you can have a conversation just as we're having now. You're all unmuted. They can share things, they can talk, and then just before the time is up, it will give them a 30-second notice to say you're bringing them back into the main room. Very simple to do if you've got that type of lecturing and you need that for your business. If you're putting on a virtual event and you want to do an icebreaker or some kind of breakout, the breakout rooms are great, but they are a premium feature within Zoom now, so you have to pay extra for that.
I'd really like to see the Crystal Maze go online because it sounds exactly the same. You can set up all that different rooms. Right, guys, we've got 5 minutes. This is your task. We'll put you in. If you solve it, you can get out the breakout room. If you don't solve it, you're stuck in virtual breakout room for the rest of your life.
Yeah, so if you were doing something like speed networking, for example, it's a bit more logistical to have to do that. Speed would not be on your side. You would have to time each room to be 2 minutes or whatever. You're then putting people out, bringing them back in. Then you have to put them into 2 other rooms as well. So you'd have to build in a slightly different way of doing that, but that's how you do it with breakout rooms.
So a bit like in live events, like I spend a lot of time hosting conferences, and I'm always warning the organisers, don't underestimate the herding time, right? If you send them out there and you give them a glass of Prosecco, you might as well add 20 minutes by the time they mill back in, if there's hundreds of them, and they think they're going to ring a bell and everyone's going to be back in plenary. And I'm like, that is not how humans work. You know, unless you set off a fire alarm, they're not going to move very quickly. And even then, we're British, we just go, oh, I think it's a practice. So, you know, you just allow that time. If you're doing that kind of air traffic control and you're not used to it, particularly if you do buy the premium version, just be aware you've got to do a bit of herding to get people in and out. I think they could do with an automatic function, Dawn, where you do set 5 minutes on the breakout and then it snaps them out into plenary. That would be cleverer. I don't think people would ever run a live event again. They'd be like,
I know, right?
I can teleport people back into the main room.
That would be great, yeah. And to move people around quicker as well would be good. But
what else have we got?
So whiteboard, you were going to share your...
Oh my God, I love doing whiteboard. Right, this is hard for me, guys, because I've had to practice with Dawn to do screen share. So because I'm a co-host, I can choose to share my screen, which is at the bottom for me, and then I can choose whiteboard. Has anyone used this function before? You can raise your hand if you've used it, because I hadn't used it. I was thrilled. And if there's anyone who's quite a geeky trainer amongst you and you basically love a flip chart, let me say I wrote a book called Stroke the Flip Chart, How to Be Sexy When You Speak. So the fact that there's something I can write on is just an absolute thrill. So this is the pen function, look, and you can do, oh look, I'm not an artist, but let's give it a go. And you can demonstrate in real time as you're teaching then. And let's say this is my career. Oh, there you go. This is today. This was last year. Brexit, pandemic. There we go.
Yeah.
So you can share the. That's really cool, and you can erase it and do all the usual things that you can do. So I really love that. I think that is super duper cool. So have I stopped sharing now? I don't.
You have, yes.
Could you see it? Could you see it? You could see the whiteboard.
Yes, we could see that.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm a bit useless at their driving thing. I think I need L plates on for the actual driving. I'm good at just pointing myself at the camera. A bit like that learner driver that goes, I can go forwards. What more do you want?
Crazy lady. So we've talked a load of different topics, speaker topics. We've shown you some fun things.
I know.
Now it's over to you if you want to ask us any questions. We know loads more, but conscious that it is, we've been talking for 40 minutes.
Yeah, we've got a few more tips, but we'd love to get some questions. That'd be really good, because I think some people will be all different levels with Zoom. So you can unmute yourself, or do you want them to raise their hands? What's the protocol, Dawn? You're in charge.
So do you want to put your questions in the chat, and then we will, look, Steve Wells has put his hand up. Look, he's used the raise hand. So
Steve gets to ask a question just for being swotty and good at this.
Yeah, so Steve, go for it.
Cool. So 2 questions that I've got based on stuff you've shared already. The fact that you've changed your name in this chat, do you have to remember to reset it before you go into another one?
No.
So it's just change it for this one rather than changing it on your main settings?
Yes, yeah.
Cool.
Very like Steve, I'd like to say, dating sites. Yeah, like me.
And the second one was on the whiteboard. Is it only a single pane, or can you actually have multiple sheets that you can go back to?
Single pane. Yeah, you have to erase what you've done.
Okay.
Yeah, so write small.
Cool.
And that is like working in the public sector. When I turn up, I do training for the police, and I turn up, and I go, is there a flip chart? And there's this sorry thing in the corner with one bit of paper that's quite crumpled, and they're like, there it is. And I'm like, okay, no, it's fine. I can make do with one page. That's what it's like. So yeah, if you've done anything at NHS, police, government, you'll know how to use that whiteboard. But good questions. Thanks. Ninja level skills there.
Yeah. The lovely Sylvia.
How do you know she's lovely? Do you know her?
I know her.
Yeah. Hi. I've got a couple of questions. So the whiteboard, is that a facility that only the host can use, or can you get participants to write on the whiteboard as well?
Good question.
When you when you set up your meeting, there's different options within the when you set it up, and you can choose to share everything with them or certain elements to it.
Okay.
Does that mean I could, because I'm a co-host on this call, so I could share. So would Sylvia be able to share her screen now? I think she has to just click share and request it from the host, doesn't she, Dawn? Why don't you try, Sylvia? Try sharing your screen and see whether it lets you do it. And it might make the host give you permission. That's what I've had before.
Share screen.
On your controls. You've got share at the bottom where there's participants. Here we go. So that's you doing it, is it, Sylvia? Was that you doing the whiteboard?
No, that was me. It was Sonia. Sorry, I was well. So we can share it. Sorry.
Yeah. So I set this up so you could have because we wanted it interactive. So you can set it up so that certain elements are controlled are shared with everybody, or you can keep. It's like recording as well. You can set it up so anybody can record this on their machine if they wanted an instant recording, or you can restrict who can record or not.
So it's the host really granting those permissions, is what you're saying?
Yeah, when you set it up.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And your second question?
And the other question was, I noticed there was some private chats. Can only the host privately chat to the participants, or can the participant privately chat to the host or any other participant?
So any participant can privately chat to any other participant.
Right.
The host can see when everybody posts to everybody.
Okay.
But obviously the private chat between you and Celia, for example, I wouldn't be able to see.
So how do you do that?
So when you go into your chat box, there's a little box that says to everyone at the minute with a down arrow. If you click on that, it will give you a list of everybody who's on this chat, and you just select their name and it will come up with private next to it. So you could all privately chat to somebody now. The trick is to remember to take that off and go back to everyone right at the top of the list if you want everybody to see it.
Okay.
And I think I'm right in saying that this comes with a warning. Never put in writing anything that you wouldn't like everybody to see. It's incredibly easy to just type quickly and send it to everyone. When you wanted to say, this is really boring and rubbish, isn't it, Bob? Oh God, I've just posted it. And also, I think I'm right in saying that if it's on the host one, so if I privately messaged Dawn or she privately messaged me, and she shares her screen, I think you could see that chat. Is that right, Dawn? So there's a bit of a slip up there.
Yeah, so I should have reduced my chat so people couldn't see it. But
so the way that we will communicate, although I've forgotten, is that we would have our phones next to us, me and Dawn, and be on WhatsApp as a genuine back channel. I did that the other day. I was on with my, I was in a team meeting, like a performers thing, and I'm in a cabaret duo with Tam, and so we're both on the call, and Tam and I, because we're a duo, we were like on the WhatsApp because we wanted to then be speaking, representing each other. What do you think? I'm going to say this. What do you think? Yeah. So we're using a genuine back channel there. This back channel I always find slightly terrifying because I feel like I know I'm going to get that wrong. I'm going to get the etiquette of that wrong. So I tend to be a bit like, I'm not going to touch the chat unless it's absolutely necessary. But as you can probably tell, I'm no multitasker. So I know my limits. Stick with the jokes.
Thank you. So we'll go to Fiona.
Yeah.
Do you want to unmute yourself? Or I could do that. Hang on. There you go.
Okay. Thanks very much for this. This is great. Couple of questions. The co-hosting function, is that available on the free package or the first level premium package or the super uber duper?
So I have the pro package and the co-host is available there, and you have to add them as a user within your account. And as a user of your account, it gives them the basic level access to Zoom.
Right.
So for example, Celia couldn't set up loads of meetings within my account. She can only co-host on the ones that I make her a co-host for.
Yeah.
Damn it. It's not like Netflix.
No.
Is the pro user the first level up? Is that the sort of 11 quid a month one or the 90 quid.
119 a year it works out as, yeah.
Yeah. My second question is that I want to host meetings where I would like to share a photograph or 2 or 3 in the course of a meeting. What's the best vehicle for that? And basically it's a tarot card meeting. So like I won't be able to prepare slides in advance because we won't know what it is I want to share. So rather than just hold up a card and nobody really see it, I want to have a stock bank of card images so I can then pick the ones that have been chosen and show them to people so they can all see it. So have you got any suggestions about what the best way of doing that would be?
Go on.
I would put your cards into a folder.
Yeah.
And have that folder on your desktop open.
Yeah.
And then basically just share your desktop so you can then click on whatever card is relevant to the time.
Okay.
Yeah. Desktop's really useful. It depends how cluttered your desktop is though with other things. If you're then going to share desktop, you want to be careful you haven't got sticky notes on there of other things or things that will distract people if you're going to be pulling from those photos. The other option is Canva. That free software where you can design things. You can upload photos into Canva and have a nice picture, and you can actually present in Canva like you can with PowerPoint, so you can put it onto a presentation screen. So you might want to have a little play with that as well. So just, it's really important to practice. That's the main note here. That's what I've really learned this week. You know, before this call, believe it or not, Dawn and I have had 2 rehearsals. I mean, I know it doesn't show.
For you.
But you know, just to kind of, because really to sort of bolt down all the tips, but also to just kind of be sure that we can hand off between the 2 of us. So it does take a little bit of driving around to get used to it.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. But thank you for the questions.
I think Gillian wants to just test her microphone. Is that right, Gillian? Now, how am I going to know whether she's there or whether the microphone isn't working?
On the screen. Hang on.
She just wants to know if her microphone's working. I'm feeling an existential problem here.
Yeah, Gillian. No, it's not. You're unmuted, but we cannot hear you. But we can see you.
Are you speaking?
You're nodding. Yeah, we can see her. She's in the middle of my screen, but everybody's in a different place. So depending on
of any audio settings, or because microphones don't generally just break.
No. So if you go down to where the mic is on the bottom left of your screen.
Yeah.
You might just need to look at the select microphone options at the top and have a little play with those, Gillian.
If you go into the audio settings, there's actually a test microphone function where you talk to it and it will then play it back to you.
Thanks, Steve. If you could join us on all the calls, that would be fab.
That'd be great to get while you're on this training, really, to be honest with you, ninja level. I just want to say as well, like one of the tips that I want to sort of repeat, I've mentioned it already, is interaction's really important on these. You know, to keep people's engagement, you've got to keep them involved. We've tried our hardest to do that by having times when you're doing chat, times when you're practicing a point. It's being really practical. But you can see how much more fun it is when there's a conversation going and other people get to contribute their expertise. I'm sure I'm not the only one that feels if I sit for a whole hour and I don't get to say anything or do anything or input, maybe it's because I'm an extrovert and a speaker and a performer. So, you know, that's no good for me. But it's not that good for most people. And, you know, one of the biggest tips I teach in public speaking is it's not a monologue. You are not on your own. You don't have to sweat through an hour of content. You should really be preparing less content than there is time on the call. So we prepared probably less than 40 minutes content, knowing that there'd be 5 minutes getting ready, and also there'd be Q&A, and also we want to wrap up at the end. So we were like 30 minutes, 40 minutes content max for the hour. And if you're not used to preparing speaking or training, if this is new for you, then that will be something that will be a good thing to learn, because you'll find you're struggling to fit it all in, or you're overrunning, and that's never fun because people get more tired online. It's much more intense to speak online and to listen online than it is in real life, I find.
Sonia.
Hello again. Yes, just going back to the chat function. When we were talking about, you know, when you can message everyone or message people privately, I was on a Zoom call earlier this morning where the only option was to message everyone. I wasn't able to message someone directly. So I just wanted to check, is that because of the way that the host must have set it up originally?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've set it up so it's quite an open Zoom call tonight, because we wanted the interactivity and for you to be able to see all the different features for yourselves. But yeah, you can set it up when you book your meeting. There are little boxes that you can tick to restrict what people can do.
So as a host, I will choose whether people can message each other directly or message everybody.
Yeah, so I could turn off, for example, that everyone message. You can only now message to everyone.
Yes, or you. Yeah, okay,
Yes.
great.
Yeah, so as host, you have full control over what people can and cannot do, but I've obviously opened it up so that everybody can do both. So I'll open it up again so you can do the private chats as well.
Great. Because I also used Zoom last night for online debate, and I found I think this is just an observation to share with people. I found the chat function really distracting, and actually people weren't listening to the debate. They were just chatting amongst themselves on the chat function. So I think going forward, if I'm going to host a meeting, I'm going to think carefully about to what extent I want the chat function being used by people, if it's going to distract them from actually listening.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think these are all things you have to think about and learn the hard way by doing it. You know, Dawn and I debated in our first rehearsal. She said, shall we run a kind of an ongoing sort of competition in the chat through the call to keep engagement? And I said no, because I think as a speaker, I always really believe that you should be front and center. And if you're speaking, you're speaking. You know, you want people looking at you, which is why I absolutely hate it where stages are built with the slides in the middle, pushing the speaker off to the side. Because I'm like, I don't want to be talking and people are looking at something. They should be really mono attending. That's the ideal. So if you want them to read something, put up a slide and let them read it, you know, and then flick back to you as the teacher, speaker, facilitator. And the chat's the same thing. It's an odd thing. It's like there was a trend in events for a while to have a Twitter wall, sometimes behind the speaker. terrible idea. Terrible idea. Where on the Twitter wall, people are going, oh, this is a brilliant event, but this speaker's really dull. It was a terrible idea and it didn't last long. I will tell you the latest trend in events just before we went into the pandemic was having donut walls. Actual donuts that you can just walk up and eat with your mouth.
Fabulous. Okay. And that's why it's always good to have two people. If you're on a call, it's always good to have somebody else facilitating. So when Celia is speaking, I'm in the chat. When I'm speaking, Celia is looking after the chat. So it just helps to control that and make sure that everyone's getting answered in a timely manner.
Yeah.
Catherine, you've been waiting patiently. Hello, my lovely.
Hello. Just two questions from me. I think I know the answer to the first one, but I thought I'd ask it anyway. When you talked earlier about doing a presentation and putting it in the full screen mode and not being able to see your notes, if you have two or more monitors, would that be different or can you still not see it?
So you would share one of the screens, yeah, and then make sure you had, if the presentation went over both of them, then yeah, you'd be able to see your notes on the other one. But once it goes into full screen mode, it takes up the whole of your screen. So if you're sharing monitor 1 and you've got the notes on screen 2, then yes, you'd see it, but you'd have to have it as like a separate document.
A Word document. So we have got notes for this, believe it or not. I printed them out. Look, here they are. And I quite like just having the backup, because also for years I've been teaching speaking and I say to people, what are you going to do if your slides fail, if your slides are pretty much your notes? And they're like, oh, I wouldn't be able to do it. I'm like, well, there is a modern invention called a printer. Why don't you take a backup and make everybody feel a lot more relaxed? So I do kind of go a bit old school with it. So, oh, we've got the NHS clapping time in the street at 8, so we'll make sure that we're off the call by 8. So I just want to handle
a second question.
Yeah, just a very quick one. When you talked about putting the image on instead of your name, if you don't have your video on, I can't remember where you said you do that.
So when you set up your account within the web version of your profile, you go to Zoom and then My Account, log in. It's in there, your profile picture is in the top right, like on Google or Facebook, it's all top right, and you upload a picture there.
Okay, brilliant, thank you.
No worries.
And then there was just one more question we hadn't handled, and I think I'll want to make one final point as well, and then we'll wrap it up if that's all right, Dawn. Can we go for one last question about icebreakers?
Yeah.
Yeah, should I take that? I think, you know, any good training technique applies online as well. You know, you saw what Dawn and I did. We sort of greeted everyone as they came in, and then we went for some fun videos near the beginning of the presentation, so that there's a bit of interaction. We'll get even more seamless at that as we get more used to it. So, but anything where you just ask people one thing, or they can type it in the chat, that's a really good icebreaker, I think. I've been asking people on some of my calls, what is one thing that's been really fun today or in the last week about being in isolation, because it's obviously so unfun in so many ways. It's trying to get people to just concentrate. I'll give you an example. Somebody gave me a bike yesterday. I really wanted a bicycle, and they just said, oh, I've got one in my garage. So they gave it to me, and now I'm super thrilled because I can start cycling again, and I haven't done it for ages. So it kind of spins people's brains into being more positive, and it you know, focuses them. Or I always teach with speaking, ask them a question that is going to link into your content in a nice seamless way. So if I was going to talk about cycling proficiency, I might say, who can remember learning to ride a bike? Raise your hands. And then I'd be like, well, I'm going to talk to you about safety on the road today. So, you know, it's nice to have that link between the two things if you can. And my final point is really about energy. You know, Dawn was saying to me on the call when we were getting together before this, she said, one thing I've learned from you, Celia, is how much energy it needs for you to speak online. And it's just like when you speak on a stage, you can't sit on this chair and just be like, right, everyone, okay, so now we're on this call, and yeah, so it's basically every day feels like the same day. You know, it just isn't sufficient as the speaker, as the person who's meant to be inspiring everyone, you know, bringing them along. So you've got to get showered, you know, look, I'm dressed on the top half. I can't tell you about the bottom half, but, you know, like, get yourself in the zone, warm up vocally, you know, give it loudly, give it like double the amount that you think it needs, because I'm doing that, and that's what keeps everybody sort of just up a level and stops them from going, God, this call's a bit crap, I'm going to go and do something else, which is what we're always competing against online. There's always cupboards to be cleaned out, you know what I mean? That isn't a thing in the pandemic. That's just like, that's always a thing. So so keep your energy high. That would be my final point. I think we've pretty much rounded it up, haven't we, Dawn?
We have, yeah. We just wanted to ask you all to buy us a drink.
Yeah, buy us a drink. Mine's a bottle of champagne.
Yours is a bottle of champagne.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you can keep in touch with us on social. That'd be really nice. It actually is a big help when you're self-employed. But a really serious point for me is that, you know, both Dawn and I have had quite a lot of income taken out of our diaries. I'm sure some of you on this call are the same, but some of you will be still working or be furloughed. And I really hope that you all feel, you know, that you're okay economically, because it's one of the hardest things about this at the moment. But if you have found this useful and you do feel like you can pay, you know, we'd normally be charging £50 for an hour like this, but you can just buy us a drink if you like. We've got a PayPal pool set up, the link's there. It's also the same link is in your Eventbrite, and 10% is going to go to helping Macmillan nurses, which for both Dawn and I, we've been personally involved with that in a cancer journey in our family. So we'd really appreciate that, and you know, keep those nurses doing what they do. But also you can follow us on social media. You had a slide there.
Yeah.
That. So yeah, I'm at Celia Delaney everywhere because I'm so old. I was around when it started.
But thank you all for joining us tonight. We really appreciate
brilliant.
it.
I hope you go out and clap the NHS, or just, you know, round of applause for yourself for being alive for another
round of applause.
So give us a round of applause. Buy us a drink, and thank you so much. Lovely to see you all.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
What are you doing?
Sweet.
See everybody who logs off. Bye.
Bye.
You do.
Leaving the meeting.
You can end the meeting, Dawn, can't you? You're in control.
Yeah, no, I was just waiting for everybody to go out. It's fine.
Oh, we just hang out with Fiona.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, I was just on the PayPal account.
Oh, you're very sweet.
Thank you. Sorry, lovelies. Thank you very much indeed. That was great.
You too.